So a few days ago, I wish I had taken video of this, but it wasn't my first reaction at the moment. We got a bird in the house. Now, a bird outside of the house is great to watch and listen to, and put up a feeder. You can watch them eat. It's fun. My cats like to watch the birds out the window. But when one gets inside of your house, it's like hell came to Frogtown. It's just insane. It's like, what do I do? There's a fucking bird in my house, and this is truly the age-old question. What do you do? So, this is the story that follows. So the story goes like this. Griffin was begrudgingly heading to his room to do some schoolwork on his Chromebook. Grayson was in the kitchen making what he calls a brown orange, which is a mix of orange juice and Coke, and I was in the office editing a video when we heard him scream. I immediately shot up, much like a bat out of hell would, and headed towards the stairs, heels kicking up wisps of cat hair as I sprinted. Grayson was right on my heels, his fears for his brother's well-being no less than my own. With the dexterity only found in the gentle step of the Ashtaranathian elves, I skipped every other stair with the greatest of ease, and I was reassured to find as I spun around the corner, Griffin was fine. But Moose, our tiny gray cat, had a bird in her mouth, and Griffin was pleading with her to stop. With the luck of a Carillion Savic player on her side, the bird was able to wriggle free and find perch on a nearby bookshelf. Grayson and I are laughing at this point because we were just hauling ass like Griffin was being taken by the Goblin King, only to find Griffin unharmed. Like many times throughout history, we find this father and his two boys faced with a predicament, a quandary, a dilemma, if you will. The question is as old as man himself. How do we get said bird out of our bird shit free, at the moment, home? The obvious answer one comes to when one finds oneself home with one wild bird in the house is open the nearest window and try to lure it towards the portal to outdoors, but have a backup plan. Nets. Nets turned into net, and a broken one at that. Nonetheless, we were prepped and ready. I stacked numerous boxes, which of course everyone has lying around in their upstairs hall, and tried to block the path that would lead the bird deeper into the bowels of Casa de Oliveira. Before any of this could go down, we needed to secure the cats and seal them in rooms until the danger had cleared. That went off without a hitch, but that was the last thing that would go that smoothly for the next 23 to 27 minutes. With the hallway cat free, I went to the window. The bird immediately flew into Griffin's room, and this was a good thing. It allowed me to better stage the evacuation zone. I opened the first window and then went for the storm window, and it would not budge. God damn it. I'll save you the many profanities I spoke through gritted teeth, but with a sudden strength only known to the Minotaur of North Shamar, the window popped off its track and now rests floating free in my hands. So I have solved the stuck window issue, but now I have to figure out how to replace the window appropriately back into the track. I shimmied it, I rattled it, and I shook it, and then discovered a spring-loaded side. Using my vast knowledge of mid-50 storm windows, I was able to get it back on track. Phase 2 complete. Now I must open the door and pray that the vile house beast does not instantly attack me. Sweat dripped from my handsome pale-skinned brow as the handle turned silently in my balled fist. I pushed the door open like the hand of a lover, slowly, but with intent. Without so much as a creak, the door opened to reveal the wren staring at me with hate in its red glowing eyes. I may have embellished that part. Griffin moved in first, net in one hand, trident in the other. As I stood back a few steps in hopes of diverting it out the window should it try to hide amongst the shadows in the corners of the room. Grayson awaited a little further back down the hall to attempt to deflect any attempt to make its way to the stairs. His failure was no less than mine or his brother's. To the onlooker, it may have looked like we were inventing a new dance, as we flailed around in terror, praying to any god who would hear our plea and save us from a small scratch, peck, or poop that was sure to ensue from this clearly malevolent monster. We turned to Grayson, for he was the last to catch a glimpse of the miserable winged demon, and he confirmed our worst fears. The horrifying nightmare bird was loose on the first floor. Somewhere. I closed the door to Griffin's room with far less care this time, but left the window open, hoping we wouldn't be inviting a legion of his friends to join as he plundered our treasures. Our first thought as we crept down the stairs like thieves in the night was that it had likely gone into the living room. Otherwise, Compy, our dog, would have been freaking out secured in his kennel. It was the last mistake we would make that day. We searched the Christmas tree, positive that the hellbird would find solace in its natural, however plastic, environment. Perhaps it was the twinkling red and green lights that scared it away from the living room and into the kitchen, but either way, this was to be our last stand. My children stood proudly beside me, knowing full well that we may have just had our last Thanksgiving together. My children stood proudly beside me, knowing full well this may have just been our last Thanksgiving together. The boys took the left flank with the net. I circled around from the right and opened the porch door, my eyes never leaving the bringer of death. I slid around the door as nimble as a halfling in a glass shop and opened the screen door next, securing it open with the sliding screen door latch thingy-mabob. Now it was up to the boys. I stood at the ready as they moved in. When the gap closed to 4 feet, the spawn of Satan made its move. It had chosen me. It came in hard and fast, but banked at the last second and dug its claws into the microwave. I didn't hesitate. I knew my moment had come. I needed to get it out the door before it could decide to make a break for the dining room. With the courage of a cowardly lion, I stepped out from behind the door and faced the vile beast. Then it flew out the door and out of our lives. But I still had to secure the screen door, and the screen door latch thingy-mabob was not cooperating. The wing terrace was still on the mostly screened-in porch as I struggled to loosen the screen door latch thingy-mabob. At any moment, this slimy piece of worm-ridden filth could decide to fly back in for the kill. Shunk! The screen door latch thingy-mabob slid free, and I pulled the door closed like a man trying to keep a bird out of his house. We crumbled to a huddle on the floor, knowing the nightmare was over. The terror we'd face today, a terror no one should ever have to face, was done. Minutes later, Geycen was drinking his brown orange, I was back to editing, and Griffin was catching up on his schoolwork as though nothing had ever happened. And to this day, one day later, we have never spoken of it again. Well, actually, once when Carol came home, and I think we talked about it this morning too. So, anywho, that's my story. My friend Frank didn't want to read my post because it was too long, so I thought I'd record it anyway because it's an interesting story to tell. So thank you guys for stopping by and checking this out. If you guys love watching birds as much as I'm loving making these videos, please consider liking, commenting, subscribing, sharing, and hit the little bell icon. It'll let you know every time I put out a new video. Don't forget to make somebody smile tomorrow and make yourself a better person tomorrow than you were today tomorrow. Let's make the world spin a little bit happier together. Let's sing and dance in the sun and in the rain as one, my brothers and sisters. Live life to the fullest and love every moment of it, because you just never know when that last moment's going to come for you. However, never live in fear of that moment. Always live in love and never let your inner child die. Take care of yourselves, take care of one another, and take care of those around you who can't take care of themselves. They are the ones that need it the most, especially this time of year. My name's Geycen Oliveira. This is whatever this is. And I'll catch you guys a little bit further on down the road. Good night, sweet prince. Oh, motherfuck you. Fuck. Fuck you.